Hello, and welcome to the November episode of Backlight Boston, presented by Luminarium Dance Company. This month, we have Kelley Donovan joining us. I hope you enjoy. This week, we have Kelley Donovan, producer of the Third Life Choreographer Series, and the creator of the Dance Action Listserv. Kelley, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So you've been very involved in the dance community, since the early 90s, and had so many different roles. What's kind of the single biggest thing that you've learned, over your career so far?
I think the biggest thing I've learned is working from a point of collaboration with the dancers, as well as trying to bring people into the work in some way where they feel involved. They'll be more likely to come to the shows. They'll be more likely to come as audience if they've been involved in some capacity of production or some workshop or some way. Yeah. And then also with the dancers, I think when I tried to just give dancers steps, it never really worked very well. But if I try to kind of draw the material out of them and figure out what they do best and how, what they feel best doing, I can find their strongest points and get to know them as dancers. So I feel like bringing people into the process as opposed to some other way of just telling people what to do. The collaborative involvement is key.
So in your Third Life studio series that you've put on, you kind of have an eclectic
Right.
group of different dancers and different choreographers who do all different styles. How do you bring that in, and how do you create that collaboration? So that way the other choreographers are kind of learning from that, and you're learning from that.
Yeah, I mean, I think what I found was that I could hopefully attract an audience if I bring more choreographers into the evening. And that just seems to be the way. I think audiences are getting smaller and smaller, unfortunately. But if you team up with other groups, it tends to work better. And so then everybody, somebody else's audience also gets to see my work, and I get, my audience gets to see what they're doing. And I think also people, my friends that have come, they're like, oh, I didn't know these companies existed. And so, I mean, I think we've had almost 70 choreographers and companies now. Who knew there was even 70 choreographers and companies in Boston,
Yeah.
So, I mean, I didn't even know there were that many. And at first I just approached people that I had known for years who'd been here for a long time. And little by little, as I put the word out, different companies would surface, companies I had never even heard of. So, and then I would go to shared evenings at like Green Street or the Dance Complex, and if I liked someone's work, I'd approach them and see if they wanted to show work.
That's great.
So, it's just sort of finding little ways to bring everybody into it.
So what was that kind of evolution, from the first time you asked somebody to kind of join you on that path and go down there to now the 70th person you've kind of,
right.
How's
I can't believe we've had that many. At first it was really the solution to a number of problems. I felt very isolated as a choreographer here in Boston, because you go in the studio and you work by yourself and you're with your dancers, and you might hear about other people that they're working with also, but you don't necessarily have an interaction with the other choreographers. And so I felt very isolated. I had been in New York a lot. I think I'd been in New York for maybe 9 months that year. So I came back and there were all these people I didn't know and faces I didn't know, and I felt so out of it. I just felt out of the scene. So I thought, well, what a great way to get to know everybody and for them to get to know each other. And I think that's the thing, is that the culture in Boston might be a little bit that you don't talk to people you don't know very often. But if you have some context where you were in the same performance, then when you see each other at Green Street, you can chat with each other because you met the other night, and it just kind of brings the community together. And I felt around 2008, 2009, I feel like the community that was here, maybe because I wasn't here as much, but I just didn't feel as connected to people anymore. And I think we lost a lot of audience, and a lot of people kind of moved on or stopped choreographing. So there was a real shift. Yeah. And it was just like a room full of strangers all of a sudden. And I thought, I want to know everybody. I want to know what's going on. I want to know what their work is and what they're doing.
So is that something, with the residency that you've had over this past month, you've had the open rehearsals and, invited people to show up to those. Is that something that, you're doing a lot more now, is to try and bring in the community and show people kind of that process that you're going through as you're creating a work and get people involved? And
Yeah.
You know, have them see the different iterations of it as you're working on it.
Yeah, and then that goes back to the first question of bringing people into the process or into, they feel a part of the work, they know what's happening, they know what I'm working on and have some idea about it, so that when they're actually, coming to the show, it's not like they're just seeing it for the first time and have no reference point. So I think that's been really good. A couple of people who will come back and see the work that I've been making will probably be, have a little bit more information about it.
So on December 12th, you have at the Third Life Studios. You have your upcoming show. Kind of what can people expect from what you'll be performing then?
So on December 12th, we're doing our next Third Life Choreographer Series program, and it's going to be 8 different choreographers. Some are improvising, some are doing set work. We have Olivier Besson, who's been in the community doing improv before, since the late 80s probably. I remember doing a concert with him, one of the first shows at Green Street. We shared a concert. He was dancing with a company there years ago. And then there's a woman who is just sort of learning. She's sort of experimenting. She's working with a few friends. Her name is Catherine Leonard. Then there's Olivia Coombs, who's been dancing with David's son. He's shown quite a bit of work at the studio this year. And Catherine Mazinski, who's been around. She danced with Beth Saul way back in the 80s, I think. So it's such a mix of people, from longtime community members to very new people. And they're showing a whole range of different things. It's always fun because, and my boyfriend says, he's like, I love going because I'll see one thing. If I don't like it, pretty soon something else is happening. But if I like it, I'll see mostly things that I enjoy. So I think for a new dance viewer, it's a really great opportunity to just kind of, taste a few hors d'oeuvres of various dance companies and see who you might like to go and see their full productions later on.
It very much is that tapas of dance, I guess.
Right. Yeah. So it's a variety, a real mix.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. And then I don't know if this'll happen soon enough, but on Tuesday, my last open rehearsal will be at Green Street Studios in Cambridge, and it's 7:30. The Tuesday before Thanksgiving. Yeah. So I don't know if that's going to be. Yeah.
And when are you showing your work? The collab. The final product of your residency.
I think I may give it a test run at Third Life on December 12th. I'll see how confident I feel at that point since it's so new.
Yeah.
But what's nice is that I can sort of decide that week because being the producer, you can kind of make a last minute decision about what you want to do.
Yeah, so. As long as the programs aren't printed.
Exactly, right. And I'm the one printing them.
Slide something in there whenever you need to.
Yeah.
Well, Kelley, if people want to kind of check out more of your work or hear more about Third Life Studios, how would they go about that?
You can go to my blog, which is KDD Company, Kelley Donovan Dancer Company, .wordpress.com. And pretty much there's an announcement usually right in front about whatever's coming up. There's also a link for the Third Life series. There's a link for my classes at UMass. And I think there's a link that has like every dance I've ever made. And then I think there's a link for like video, just general video. So you can sort of see a little bit of everything. And also on YouTube, the Third Life, I think it's Third Life Choreo Series, I think is the Third Life channel, YouTube channel. And then there's Facebook too. You can find me on Facebook maybe.
Oh, that's great. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And now, events from the Boston dance community. Who knew that we had such an eclectic collection of diverse choreographers here in the Boston area? I hope you enjoyed the episode. If you'd like to reach us on Twitter, we're at Backlight Boston. You can email us at info@luminariumdance.org. We hope to see you next month. Thanks for joining us.